The Untold Truth About Merle Oberon's Off-Screen Life, Hollywood Collection. Merle Oberon was best remembered for her striking portrayal of the tormented Kathy in the 1939 film version of Wuthering Heights, was a popular movie actress during the 1930s and 1940s. Oberon's beauty alone sustained her career into the 1950s. Although her private life attracted as much attention as her films, she was married 4 times and often involved in romantic affairs. Oberon kept the details surrounding her birth a secret throughout her life, insisting that she was born into an aristocratic family in Tasmania. In truth, she was born in 1911 in Bombay's overcrowded St. George Hospital, the daughter of Arthur Terence O'Brien Thompson, a mechanical engineer for the British Railways, and Charlotte Selby Thompson, a Ceylonese nurse's assistant. Fearing she might be ostracized as a half-caste, Merle initiated the lie about her past when she entered show business and by several accounts eventually came to believe her own legend. Oberon was raised in Bombay and Calcutta and was educated until the age of 11 at the strict La Martini Ree School in Calcutta, an austere place where she was very much a loner. After she left, she was tutored at home by her hardworking mother, then entered business school at the age of 15. Her first job was as a typist in a department store. At age 17, Oberon made her way to London, where she initially worked as a dance hall girl under the name Queenie Thompson. By now a regal beauty, she was hired as an extra in a number of British films and eventually caught the eye of Hungarian-born director-producer Alexander Korda, who was starting his own film company and offered the actress a 5-year contract. Korda cast her in the small role of Anne Boleyn in The Private Life of Henry VIII, 1933, the first British talkie to attract an international audience. Oberon went on to play leads with Korda's company, including A Japanese Woman in the Battle, 1934, and Lady Blakeney in the film adaptation of Emma Orczy's The Scarlet Pimpernel, 1935, opposite Leslie Howard, with whom she also had a love affair. In 1935, Korda sold half her contract to the Goldwyn Studios, thus launching Oberon's Hollywood career. Following an inauspicious debut in Foley's Burg Re, 1935, she gained credibility in The Dark Angel, 1935, with Frederick March, for which she was nominated for an Academy Award. In 1937, Oberon returned to England to star in the ambitious I Claudius with Charles Laughton, but her involvement in a near-fatal car crash halted the already troubled project in mid-production. Following her recovery, Korda starred her in several comedies, including Over the Moon, 1937, and The Divorce of Lady X, 1938, opposite a very young Laurence Olivier. Olivier was her co-star again in Wuthering Heights, although Oberon's first choice for the role of Heathcliff had been Douglas Fairbanks Jr., and Olivier had desperately wanted his new love Vivien Leigh for the role of Kathy. Tension on the set was heightened by the dictatorial style of the film's director William Wyler. The finished product, however, bore little evidence of the traumatic shoot, and Oberon's career went into high gear. Oberon was not nominated for an Academy Award that year. Oberon's private life fascinated the gossip columnists, beginning with her engagement in 1934 to Joseph Schenck, producer and chair of the board of 20th Century Fox, whom she abandoned for actor Leslie Howard, whom she subsequently left for actor David Niven. Oberon was also married 4 times. Her first husband Alexander Korda was in love with her for years before they wed in 1939. The marriage, however, was failing by 1945, when Oberon met and fell in love with 35-year-old cinematographer Lucien Ballard, who also worked to provide special lighting for the star after a reaction to sulfa drugs and subsequent dermabrasion treatments severely damaged her skin. Differences began to emerge between the two, however, early in the relationship. In the wake of Oberon's divorce from Korda in 1945, the two married, although Ballard later said he dreaded being thought of as Mr. Merle Oberon, and only married the actress because she wore him down. The union lasted just 4 years, during which time Oberon met her great love, Count Giorgio Cini, a handsome and wealthy Italian aristocrat who was killed in a plane crash in 1949, not long after Oberon's divorce from Ballard was granted. While Oberon's private life flourished during the 1940s, her career began to decline. Two successive comedies, That Uncertain Feeling, 1941, and Affectionately Yours, 1941, failed at the box office, and her performance in Corda's romantic Lydia, 1941, disappointed the critics, although she herself thought it was one of her best efforts. By 1947, Oberon was relegated to the lower half of double bills, and by the mid-1950s was playing supporting roles, notably in Desiree, 1954, and Deep in My Heart, 1954. In 1957, Oberon married wealthy Italian industrialist Bruno Paglia, who, though not good-looking, exuded power, money, and charm. They adopted 2 children, a girl and a boy, and settled into 2 lavish homes, one in Mexico City and another in Cuernavaca. While her husband was frequently away on business, Oberon doted on her children and ran her 2 households with a military precision that frequently strained those who worked for her. While she bloomed as an international hostess, she made fewer and fewer films. One of her infrequent appearances was in Of Love and Desire, 1963, filmed in her own house and at her own expense. The finished product, nonetheless, was leveled by the critics, although it did surprisingly well at the box office. 2 of Oberon's other films of the 60s, The Oscar, 1966, and Hotel, 1967, both enjoyed wide showings as well. Oberon also produced her last film, Interval, 1973, which was financed by Paglia, although their marriage was all but over by then. In 1975, after a difficult split from Paglia, Oberon and Wolders, who was 25 years her junior, married and settled into a beach house in California. Following a trip to Australia in the fall of 1978, Oberon was stricken with chest pains, and subsequently underwent heart bypass surgery. The healing process produced thick scars called keloids, which were so painful that she underwent steroid treatments to achieve some relief. Oberon never recovered completely from her ordeal and was even too ill to attend her daughter Francesca Paglia's wedding. She died of a stroke on Thanksgiving Eve in 1979. Oberon left $1 million of her estate to the Motion Picture Country House and Hospital, and the auctioning of her extensive jewelry collection raised close to another $1 million for various other cinema charities. Rest in peace, Merle Oberon. Goodbye.